I didn't plan to buy a house that weekend. It just happened that it was an old 3-bedroom, 2-bath, listed at 30% cheaper than any comparable property in that area. The photos were grainy, dated, and slightly off-kilter, like they were taken in a hurry by someone who didn't want to be there. But something about the house, a strange, heavy silence that seemed to emanate from the screen, pulled me in like a strong undertow. It wasn't the house I wanted. It was the house that wanted me. I called the number instantly. She was a stark woman in a cheap, too-tight suit, with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Her hands, I noticed, were trembling slightly as she held a thick, manila folder. "You're quick," she said, her voice thin and reedy. "Most people want to think about it. This one is special. Are you serious about closing?" "I am," I confirmed, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "But I'd like a proper walkthrough." The photos didn't show much. No need. The owners, well, they were in a rush. Everything is as is. Clean title, no liens, full disclosure of any minor structural eccentricities. Honestly, this is a steal that a truly unique opportunity. Sign here, and initial here. The keys are already yours. I hesitated, pulling the papers back. "Mrs. Albright, are you all right? You seem very anxious." She withdrew her hand immediately, tucking her trembling fingers into her opposing armpit. Her eyes darted toward the empty street, then back to me, the anxiety in them genuine now. "Look," she whispered, leaning in, the smell of cheap perfume sharp in the morning air. "I am doing you a favor. The best thing you can do is sign, take the keys, and do not, under any circumstances, stay past midnight tonight. Be moved in, or be somewhere else. But not there." "What are you talking about?" I demanded, unnerved. "Is there a problem with the neighborhood? Are you saying it's not safe?" She didn't answer. She just handed me a heavy, antiquated iron key, slipped back into her sedan without another word, and sped away, leaving me standing on the sidewalk with a signed deed and a growing pit of dread in my stomach. I laughed, a sharp, nervous sound, trying to dismiss her as a dramatic flake. But she didn't laugh back. I spent the rest of the day unpacking and trying to convince myself I'd made a shrewd investment, not a catastrophic mistake. The house was exactly as the photos suggested. Dusty floors, peeling wallpaper, and the faint, unsettling smell of wet, rotting wood, especially in the basement. Around 11:30 p.m., after a weary shower, I was scrolling through my phone on a cheap air mattress, already nodding off. The house felt old, yes, but settling. Creaks and moans, that was normal. Then, the clock flipped past midnight. At exactly 12:04 a.m., the normal sounds of an old house vanished. The silence that fell was total, heavy, and absolute. And then, the new sound began. It wasn't footsteps. It wasn't the wind or a branch against the glass. It was a slow, deliberate dragging sound, like something enormously heavy being pulled across a floor, coming from the downstairs hall, directly beneath me. I sat bolt upright, heart pounding a violent rhythm against my ribs. I grabbed my phone's flashlight. "Hello." The dragging sound stopped instantly. I had to know what it was. I crept to the top of the stairs, the cold of the wood seeping through my worn socks. Every single step I took groaned louder than it should have, a series of painful, echoing protests that seemed to announce my presence to the entire house. The air in the stairwell felt thick, heavy, and wet, like breathing through a damp, sticky cloth. Halfway down, my phone's flashlight suddenly flickered violently, buzzing in my hand like a trapped insect. Then, it went completely out, plunging me into a darkness so profound it was blinding. The dragging sound was gone, but from the darkness at the bottom of the stairs, I heard it, breathing. It wasn't a rattling human breath. It was a slow, wheezing, cavernous inhale and exhale, a sound of something huge and ancient. I froze, trying not to make a sound, the raw panic gripping my throat. I stood absolutely still for what felt like 10 minutes. Then, the basement door, located just behind me in the shadows, began to creak open on its own. Slowly, a sliver of absolute, hungry blackness appeared in the gap. "No," I whispered, stumbling backward, scrabbling desperately to get my phone to work. The movement made a loose floorboard cry out. The door stopped opening. I whirled around, intending to bolt back up the stairs. But before I could take a step, The basement door slammed shut by itself with a deafening bang, a shockwave of sound that rattled my teeth and shook the very foundation of the house. My flashlight suddenly burst back to life, the beam steady and brilliant. And that's when I saw it. The wall directly opposite the basement door was entirely wet, but it wasn't water. It was a thick, viscous, dark red liquid that smelled coppery and metallic. And as the beam steadied on the surface, the liquid began to run, coalescing and forming words in slow, terrifying drops across the peeling wallpaper. "Welcome home. We've waited so long for you, Neil." It was empty. The building was abandoned, dust-covered, padlocked from the inside. The woman who didn't exist. I called the brokerage name on the deed. The number was disconnected. The woman I met, Mrs. Albright, didn't exist in any real estate record, past or present. When I returned to the street where the house was, it wasn't there. The land was empty, nothing but overgrown grass and a few ancient trees. No house, no gate, no foundation, no sign of recent construction or demolition. I went to the police, hysterical, showing them the crumbled deed. They searched the address I gave them. They said it didn't exist on any map, current or historical. I showed them the online listing, the one that started it all. But when they tried to open the link, the page said, "Error 404, property not found." No one believed me. They settled on a simple story. I had a psychological break, created a fantasy, trespassed, and then demolished my own phone out of confusion. But they can't explain the scar. A thin, cold white line now encircles my wrist where the reflection grabbed me. And they can't explain the nights. Every night since then, I wake up at exactly 12:04 a.m. to that same slow, grinding, dragging sound. Not beneath me, but right beneath my bed. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can still smell that wet, sweet, rotting wood. Sometimes, I swear I hear a voice, a rough, wet whisper in the dark. "Welcome home. Know that we are still waiting." So if you ever see a house online that feels too good to be true, and the agent seems a little too eager to hand you the keys, just remember my story. And if you ever hear a door slam in the middle of the night, heed the fear, don't go downstairs.